Second thing, you're going to see a few things also on the left-hand side. One thing that I like to point out is this borrow books function. So I'm going to go ahead and click on borrow books. It's right here underneath our hours. This is going to open a tab, and this tab looks a little bit confusing. It's a lot of information here. However, it is super helpful. This is going to allow you to request a book that we have here on campus without you having to physically come in, go search for it. All you have to do is walk in, go to the desk that we have in the very front of the library, say you're here to pick up your book, show your ID, and then they already have your book ready to go for you. So this is a very great service. This is something they started during the pandemic, like in the middle of the pandemic, as a way of just ensuring that you are still getting your books. And so maybe you're super busy and you can only come in on a certain day. If you do this form, you'll get an email when it's ready. You just come pick it up and you're good to go. Okay, so that I think is something that a lot of graduate students should take advantage of and know how to do. Okay. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to locate this little chat icon right down here. So it's important to know that everything within the university library, and I'm going to qualify this in just a little bit, everything that is library related, so whether it's me and my colleagues, the databases that we're going to go over, the books that you may check out, the journals, even our chat services, this is all 100% student funded. Okay, we don't get our funding from any other source on campus other than your tuition dollars. Okay, so I'm not entirely sure what it looks like for graduate students, but I know if you're an undergraduate and you're taking 4 classes, you're going to pay approximately $138 worth of tuition and fees. For graduate students, it's about, I think it's like $12.75 per credit hour. Okay, so everything that we have that is library related and not necessarily the writing center or academic advising, but everything that is library related, including myself, is because you guys, right? You are the reason why I'm here. You are the reason why I have a job, and you are the reason why we can provide all of our services. So our chat function is really meant to help you and get you those answers relatively quickly. Okay, so if ever you come and you say, you know what, I really need help beginning my research. I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to look. Maybe you kind of want to get a little bit of quick help. This is a great way to do that. So I'm going to just kind of quickly demonstrate what this looks like. I'm going to go ahead and do my name. I'm going to type in my email. And then for me, I'm not affiliated with the college, but maybe it's going to be a little bit different for you guys. I'm going to do no college affiliation. And then I'm going to leave that one blank. This is really important. What course does this pertain to? Simply because if we see that we're getting a lot of the same questions, like if we're getting a lot of students from business who are taking the same class and they say, I need help locating business back files or statistic reports from this industry. And we're seeing that we're getting that kind of almost every other day or within a certain time frame. We know that we should reach out to that instructor and say, hey, do you want to offer your students a library session? How can we help you? Because they're using our resources and we want to make sure that they know how to find them and what to do. Okay, so if it's not necessarily for a particular course, maybe it's for thesis work, dissertation, you can just type that in there too, or just leave it blank. So I'm going to go ahead and ask a question, and I'm going to say, hello. And so what time is the library open today? And this is just a little softball question, right? I know I have my hours right in here, but I'm just going to go ahead and do an easy one for my colleagues who are kind of manning our chat. So I asked my question, and then you're going to get this message that a librarian will connect with you shortly. It's important to know that we are, again, 100% student funded, but that means that we're always going to have someone manning the chat and the desk here at the library. Okay. A lot of this will be either we'll be in our office and we'll be waiting for a chat to come in, or we'll be out in the front desk and we're waiting to help students. Okay. So as long as the library is open, you're probably going to find someone here. Yes.
So where did you get the chat again?
Okay, so you see this little chat bubble right down here on the left? And then, as you can see, my colleague Tessie, she already joined the chat. She said, hi, Jenny, and then she's typing for us. So the library is open until 6 p.m. today. You can always view our hours right in here. And so that is a super simple answer, right? Maybe it's going to be a little bit more involved. Maybe you need a little bit more time. The librarian will let you know and say, hey, your question's going to take too much time than a chat would dedicate. So let me expand it a little bit and I'll get back to you soon. We do that often, especially if it's a like a large question. So I'm going to go ahead and say, thank you, Tessie. And then I'm going to end the chat by just clicking the X. So going back to being 100% student funded, you're going to see these icons right in here. How was your experience with Tessie? Was it great? Did she do a phenomenal job? Or was it bad and not necessarily what you were hoping for? Right? Again, your feedback helps us grow and helps us improve all of our services. So if you had a really good interaction with Tessie, you can go ahead and say great and let her know why, right? Super fast, super helpful, knowledgeable, whatever. But also, if you had a bad experience, tell us why. More often than not, students will say it was bad or it was so-so, but they won't tell us why. So again, we're constantly looking to improve everything that we offer and everything that we do. So how can we improve? Another really cool tool is these two other boxes right here. So if maybe Tessie is going off and she's sending you a bunch of helpful links and you don't have a chance to open them all up, you can always email a transcript to yourself. And so you're going to get a copy of everything that was said in the session, and you're going to get all of those links and all that helpful information that she was sharing with you. So that's something that you should also kind of be aware of. And then finally, I would like to request a follow-up. If you're unsure, if you're kind of iffy about what you're doing or kind of what else you need to do moving forward, you can always toggle that and we'll reach out to you and send you a follow-up email just to check in on you, see how you're doing, see how your research is going. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click great and then submit my feedback and go from there. Now, something that we just started rolling out this past semester, something that we call BiblioBot. So it's kind of like AI, but kind of not. The reality is kind of just, like a lot of other industries, we're very short-staffed, right? And so we can't be here to answer all your questions all the time. So sometimes you'll see this little chat icon pop up and it'll say BiblioBot is online. Okay, that will allow you to still answer your questions, but if it's something that you don't really feel the bot is able to answer, it'll turn it into a larger ticket, and whoever gets either goes to the desk the next thing in the morning or is able to hop on after BiblioBot is turned off, then we'll go ahead and answer your question. You can also do the same right here under this Ask Us tab. I'm going to click on that. And this allows you to ask a question and maybe provide a little bit more detail. This Ask Us tab is really great if you are maybe just trying to get a head start on a class project, on kind of gathering your information and your resources. If you have a little bit of time, then this is great. If you need an instant answer, chat is great, but if you can wait a little bit, Ask Us is always helpful too. Okay, any questions on that so far? No? Okay, and if you do, if you're online, again, you're welcome to type them in the chat as we move through and as we kind of go along. Okay, so I'm going to go back over here and I'm just going to see what else we should cover from here. Okay. So I am going to now scroll down a little bit and I'm going to show you where we have all of our information. And so this is essentially the library's Google. This is called MinerQuest. So MinerQuest is going to be a very helpful tool for you to navigate and find your resources and find your information. You can see there's other boxes here. So we have books, articles, and more. This is going to search everything that we have in the library with limitations, and I'll explain that in a little bit. We also have our databases tab. And so our databases tab, this is really where you can kind of open up and just drive the library and see where it goes and see where it leads you, right? This is where you can kind of like push that gas a little bit and figure out what's there and how you can access it. I'll go over that in just a little bit, so keep that in mind. Next up, we have our journal titles. If you are searching for a specific journal, maybe you're looking at educational linguistics. I just got a request for this yesterday. So if you're looking for educational linguistics, you can always search here in the journal titles, and it'll show you everything that we have listed under educational linguistics. Next up, we have our research guides. So some professors will request guides for their classes, and this is really going to be to help students and help them navigate the research process. If your instructor has one, you can find it here. Some of them don't. Some departments have more than others, and it really just kind of depends on what they're asking for and how often it's being updated. So you can check that out. For example, I know I have someone from Rhetoric and Writing Studies, RWS 1301 and 1302. We have a research guide for those introductory freshman classes, and it's just kind of our starting jumping off point. So that's just like a quick example. I'm going to get into minor requests in just a little bit, but there's a couple other things I wanted to point out here as well. So if you are looking for specific help, maybe you're like, you know what? Minor request is great, but I don't necessarily know what I'm looking for yet. I don't know how to find it. I kind of need a little bit of help anyway. I can click on people right here on the very top, and I have all of this pop up. I want us to click on subject specialist. So again, I'm going to click on people, and then I'm going to click on subject specialist. So here is where I get to find all of the different librarians that work here and their different specialties. Okay, so if you are studying computer science, Les is your go-to person. If you are studying, I have a couple of people in business. So if you're doing business, we have Harvey, who is our associate director. He'll be your business person. Kind of depending on whatever program you're coming from, whatever department, you can usually find someone here. And if not, if you can't find what you're looking for or who you're looking for, you can always just scroll down towards the bottom. Right down here, see, that's me. And you can go ahead and just send me an email, call me. I did get a new phone, not very happy about it, but that's not the point. You can call me, you can send me an email, or you can schedule an appointment with me. Most of us will have this schedule an appointment link. And I'm gonna go ahead and open it up and just kind of show you what that looks like. So, as you can see, I have my days and I have my times right in here. Now, full disclosure, I'm going to be out for most of next week because I had an emergency that I need to attend to. But let's say you're like, you know what, Jenny, I really need you. It's super important. I need an appointment with you. You can go ahead and click on Monday. And then you can pick a time that works for you. If it's 8:30 in the morning, you can go ahead and click continue, send me all your information, tell me why we're meeting, right? Tell me how we're meeting. And then if you can provide any additional information, maybe an assignment or instructions, that would be super helpful. The big thing to take away here is that if none of my times, and I'm going to go ahead and go back really fast. If none of my times work for you, that's okay. Send me an email, right? It goes back to the fact that we are 100% student funded. So we want to make sure that you feel comfortable, that you have your answers, and that you kind of know that you're being supported. Okay, so if you can only meet on Monday, but at 11:30 doesn't work for you, send me an email. I'm sure we can work out some availability there. Okay, and as you can see, it kind of goes and it'll show you all my other days when I'm open and when I'm available. Okay, and this again is for almost everyone. There are some people that don't have a calendar link, and that's either because it's not set up or because they're not as front facing as some of my colleagues. So for example, if you're nursing, because I saw there's a nursing person in here, Marissa is your go-to person. Marissa is super helpful. She's amazing when it comes to the health sciences. She's our health sciences librarian. You can schedule an appointment with her and she can help you out. But if you are maybe doing a photo project and you need some assistance from our photo archivist, you can see Gina doesn't have her appointment link in here. You just send her an email and then you can kind of set something up from there. Okay, any questions on either how to get a hold of us, how to find your librarian? No? Okay, very nice. I'm gonna go back to our homepage. So again, I just went ahead and clicked on University Library. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a search. I think it's important to know that for graduate students, if you type in here just in the search bar, this is again just going to be kind of our Google. It's going to show you everything that we have. But I think it's really helpful if you start with advanced search. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this advanced search button. And I'm going to see kind of this pop up. As you can see, I have a few more boxes than I would have normally had if I just did a simple search. And I get to be more specific here. I can click on, I only want to look for articles. I only want to look in the library catalog. I only want to look in course reserve, special collections, journal titles. So anything is really going to search all that we have. Okay. I'm going to do a search and I'm going to do, let's see here. Ooh, let's do coffee. And then what else? What else should we search? Coffee and what? Coffee and public administration. That might be a little bit difficult, right? So let's try some easy ones, right? Let's just kind of get the brain juices flowing. Let's do coffee and farming, right? Yeah, coffee and farming. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to do a search. I'm going to run it, see what happens. I tell this to undergrads, and I think this is important for graduate students to know too. When you do this search on Google, if I just typed in coffee and farming, I'm going to get millions of results, right? Not to say that they're not going to be good or not to say they're not going to be quality, but I'm going to have to definitely dig a little bit more. If I start here in minor quest, I already know that one, my tuition dollars are paying for this, number one. Number two is that everything is already sorted for me. So I know it's going to be a little bit easier to find quality information right here. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly run through some of the filters that I think are the best to use. So I don't want to come to campus. I don't want to have to pick up a book in person. Maybe you're a distance education student and you don't even live in the region. So I'm going to click available online. If you're looking for articles only, I'm going to click on peer reviewed. If you're doing books, peer reviewed isn't necessarily the best button for you, but if you are looking for articles, I know I have a medical student in here as well. Peer reviewed is really good. I'm going to click on source types. And here you get to really see everything that we have, from articles all the way down to market research, right? So I have some business people, market research, it's always good. Archival and manuscripts. I'm just going to do articles, plain and simple. Now, another thing is this publication date. So for publication dates, it really depends what program you're in or where you're coming from, but your date range is going to differ. So the general rule of thumb is about 10 years. Okay, so you're going to stick to just kind of 10 years of research. So for us, I still can't believe it's 2024. So that's 2014. Yeah. So 2014, that doesn't feel like 10 years ago, but it is, right? So that's where we're at. I'm going to go ahead and leave that there. If you are in the health field, so I'm talking nursing, I'm talking pre-med, I'm talking social work, psychology, anything having to do with health, mental health, you want to stick to 5 years. And simply put, and I can't say this in a few years, but simply put, the world changes so fast and medical advice and news changes so fast. And the greatest example I can think of is COVID-19, as we know it today, did not exist 5 years ago, right? So for now, I'm just going to do 2014. I'm going to apply those filters. Let's see what we get. So I have coffee, I have farming, I have peer reviewed, I have available online, only looking for articles, and between the past 10 years. So we went from about 2,000 results to about 8,000. Okay, that's really good. However, that's still a little bit too much. right? So maybe that tells me that I need to go in and start limiting a little bit more. Maybe I need to add a different term. Maybe I need to reduce my years far more, right? So really kind of think about it and think about what else you can do to narrow down that number. Ideally, you're going to have about 100 results. That's the sweet spot. 100 results is far easier for you to go through than 800. I do want to clarify this though. If you're doing something like a systematic review, and I know my people in education and my health sciences people, y'all do systematic reviews far more than most people, right? So if you're doing a systematic review, you are really looking for all of the research ever. You want about 1,000 results, right? So keep in mind, if you're doing something like a systematic review, 1,000. If you're just doing normal lay research, 100 is your sweet spot. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down. Let's look at this one. So I just picked a random one. Women's autonomy and men's involvement in childcare and feeding as predictors of infant and young child atherosclerotic indices in coffee farming households, right? It's a lot of words that me, a history person, doesn't necessarily know. So hopefully this makes sense for y'all. But there are a few things that I like to show students as we go through this. This is what I like to call pre-reading. I suggest that all students do this before you click read online or available online options. Okay, so before you even begin to read this, I want you to think about how you can make sure that you're not wasting your time to make sure that this is a good resource for you and it's going to serve the purpose that you need. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to look for my title. I'm going to look for my creator, and I want to look for my subjects, right? So I mentioned a little while ago that maybe you need to add a different terminology to coffee and farming. Maybe you're going to add cash crops. Maybe you're going to add a certain location like Ethiopia. Maybe you're going to add food and food insecurity, right? So whatever kind of fits with this keywords and whatever you're looking for, you can always explore these even more. And they kind of, what I like to call them as, lead you down a rabbit hole so you can find more and more information. So if you like that, you can go ahead and scroll down to where you'll either get a description or a summary. And this is going to give you kind of the background information that you need on this article. So even before I click to read it and spend like 20 minutes of my day reading this, I can kind of scan this and go through it really quickly to make sure that it serves my purpose and serves my point. If I like it, I'll go ahead and open it up and continue reading. If not, I know I need to keep looking. Okay. So something else, let's say that I've gone through it, I really like it, I'm happy with it. I'm going to go ahead and click on these two red buttons right in here. It's both cited in this and cited this. So citing this is going to give you other articles that are going to cite this one. Okay, so if I click on that, this is going to give me access to what we have that is also mentioned in this article, which I think is wonderful. If you're kind of like stuck and you don't know where to go, that's something to look out for. I can also go back and see what is cited in this one particular article and find more information. Think of this as kind of helping you with your literature review process when that time comes. Okay, any questions so far? Go ahead.
So ideally, first you go and place in your searches, coffee and farming, and then as they all pop up, more or less what you do is simply continue the number?
Yes, so you do want to continue reducing that number because it's going to be really hard to go through like thousands of searches, right? And so if you do cited in this or cited in this, citing this, it allows you to see kind of where else the research is leading. Right. So if I'm looking at this one particular article and I see maybe a source and a citation or a number that I wouldn't have thought about necessarily, and I see that I have access to this article, I can say, okay, why are they citing this? What is the connection? What is the correlation? And I can kind of go from there. Okay. So yeah, there's 2 red buttons and they are cited in this and citing this.
And they'd be different in the sense of,
So this one is going to be people, other articles, other authors that are citing this article. And then this one is going to cover what they are using, what this article is using in their research. Okay. Okay. So I like this. I think it's awesome. I can click available online options and I get to see where this is coming from. All the different databases that I have access to that I can go ahead and read this in. I can click on the first one and kind of go from there and play around with it. Okay, but I do want to show you a few other things. If you need to grab a quick citation, you can click on this citation button and it's going to automatically generate for you a citation on this article. And as you can see, we have APA all the way down to Harvard. You do want to double check this to make sure that it's correct and to make sure that it's accurate, because sometimes you'll copy and paste it and you'll forget to format it and it may not be right. And if you have a stickler for a professor who really wants to make sure that things that should be italicized are italicized, you want to make sure that you are really going through it and double checking your work. Okay, so that's one option. This is the just like the quick cite. I can copy this to my citation, to my clipboard, and paste my citation. Now, that's one thing. The next thing, and I'm going to show you this, and we'll have a little bit of time to work on it right now, is this RefWorks button. Okay, RefWorks, for those of you that don't know, is a citation management tool. Okay, this is a part of your tuition and fees. The university, because you pay those tuition and fees, provides you access to this. Okay, this is going to be something similar to a Zotero, if you're familiar with Zotero, or a EndNote, if you're familiar with EndNote, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And I'm just going to show you kind of what this looks like. In a little bit, I'll walk you step by step and we can set up an account right now. So I have my account set up. And again, I'm going to walk you through how you can set up yours in a little bit. I'm going to click sign in. And then I'm going to place it in an untitled project. I'm going to put it in my practice 101, Prac 101. And I'm going to click import. So it's going to grab that citation for me. And I have it saved already automatically. So I can go to my folders, and I know I'm running through this kind of fast, and I promise I'm going to give you a little bit more practice. I can go to my Prac 101, and I get to see that that article that I was just looking at, all of the information, we call this metadata, can be found right in here. I have my authors, I have my abstracts, I have my tags, right? I can also go as far as editing this and adding a PDF version of this article to my RefWorks, okay? So I have this here, and I always suggest to students, especially graduate students, create a folder for every class, right? If you create a folder for every class, it'll really help you see what you're going through, what you're saving, and how you can use this for your research, for your thesis, for your dissertation. Another really cool thing is this create bibliography. So I'm going to go ahead and click on create bibliography right up here. I get to pick and choose the type of style that I want. So maybe you're not a Chicago person, maybe you're an APA. I can type in APA and I see all the different options here. I'm going to scroll down to the most recent. So we'll do 7th and then we'll click on, we'll click on this one. No case, DOI. So automatically it has created my citation page for me. It's created my reference page for me. Super easy. I don't need to think about it. I just kind of need to make sure that everything looks good. All of my citations are formatted correctly, but everything is there for me. I copy it to my clipboard, paste it, and I'm done with my assignment. Okay. I always like to tell the story. My first semester in grad school, I was really trying to work really, really hard to finish my final paper, and I hadn't formatted my citations at all. My then boyfriend walks into the office that I was working in. I was a TA, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, I don't have time to talk to you. I need to get my citations done. And he was like, "Oh, let me help you." Well, he shows me how to get to Zotero, which is, again, another citation management tool. And within like 15 minutes, my citation page was done for me. I just had to go in, double check it, and format it. But oh my gosh, right? Like, who knew that this thing existed? So now, knowing that your tuition dollars pay for this, you can use that. You can have access to this. Yes.
The way you started with this one was the plus one, or was it
the RefWorks? Yeah.
And where did you get to it? It was on that.
Oh, so I'll show you a different way, but if I'm here in MinerQuest, I can go ahead and click on an article, a book, whatever, what have you, and then just click on RefWorks. And again, I'm going to run through how you can set that up in a little bit. So just hang tight for me, okay? Okay. Any questions on MinerQuest so far? Good. Okay. And again, if you're online and you do have questions, let me know. I'm going to go ahead and I'm sorry, Jesse, I didn't mean to pin you. Okay, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and I am going to go back to the library homepage. And this time I'm going to click on databases. Okay. So again, right in here, library homepage, and I'm going to click on databases. So I mentioned 100% student funded, and I'm going to keep mentioning that until, you know, that's no longer true, right? Because it's important. We have 545 databases. Does that mean that all of these databases are going to be for you? No, right? And that's just kind of the reality. Depending on what subject you're coming from, depending on what discipline you're coming from, you're going to have less than 145. 145 is about the total. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of show you what this looks like. I'm going to click on all subjects. So here you get to see the different subjects that we have. Whether you are doing, let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay. Whether you're doing biomedical engineering or whether you're doing criminal justice, there are going to be databases particularly for your subjects. The 545 is really just all of them, like I said, and it's really just kind of showing you the depth that we offer. I can also click on database types, and I get to see that I'm looking for business or conference proceedings or primary sources, patents, right? So if you're looking for a particular type of resource, you can also kind of scroll through there and find that as well. The vendor, this is really more for kind of us and looking at what we do, us the librarians. But if you know that your source is coming from, let's say, McGraw-Hill, maybe it's a textbook, or maybe you're looking at Alexander Street Press and you want to find a video, then you can already go there and just look under those databases. So you can play around with this and just kind of see what's there, what feels right for you. And if you happen to know the name, so I'm going to click on, for example, the letter K. If you know the name and maybe you want to click on already what it is, I can click on K. I know the only K database is going to be Canopy, which is a streaming video service. Then I can find that there. Okay, so that's just kind of showing you how we do that and what we have. I'm going to click on back to all. So I want to see that 545 total. And then I'm going to click on Academic Search Complete. Okay, you can find this under our featured databases. This is like one of our most popular. So Academic Search Complete right in here. You can always click under A and search for Academic Search Complete. Or you can type in the name if you know the name right in here. So again, I'm just going to click on our featured database of Academic Search Complete. I like highlighting this one because I think it's really important for students to know that this is kind of a catch-all, okay? If you are doing business, if you're doing nursing, if you're doing education, if you're doing really anything that we have, even the sciences, you can usually find it right in here. the database itself is called Academic Search Complete. Okay, so this is what we call just general database, very similar to MinerQuest. It's going to check everything. The host is EBSCO. Okay, so if your professors ever ask you who uses EBSCO, EBSCO is not a database. EBSCO is a host. I like to think of this as like EBSCO is the umbrella, right? And the spokes that kind of hold up the umbrella are all the different databases. And the way that you get to pick and choose which databases you have access to and want to use is right here under this blue link of choose databases. So once I click on that, I get to see all of the different databases that are found right in here. I get to pick and choose multiple ones that I think might work for me or multiple ones that I'm interested in, right? I know we did coffee and farming, right? So maybe if you're looking at environmental sciences and you want to look at agricola, you can click on this little carrot icon and it's going to give you a drop down of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Right? So, because I'm going to stick to that example, I'm going to click on that one. If I wanted to look under maybe medical terminology and I'm trying to find studies on patients who, success rates on patients who have had bypass surgery, right? Maybe I'm going to click on Synol right in here. Okay. And if ever you're not familiar with them, just click on the little carrot and you get to see a brief description of it. So once you have picked the database that you liked and the database that works best for you, you can go ahead and click OK. And so now I can click Show All, and it's going to give me all the databases that I'm searching. So in this case, I'm searching Academic Search Complete and Agricola. So I'm going to run the exact same search. I'm going to type in coffee. And something that I absolutely love about all of the EBSCO databases is that it's very similar to Google and that it's going to give me predictive text. Okay, so if I'm searching for something and I don't know the keyword, I don't know the terminology, maybe I'm a little bit stuck, this is really going to help you kind of unstick yourself. And it's going to allow you to see kind of what else is out there. So coffee consumption, coffee industry, coffee shops or cafes or coffee houses, right? So I'm going to do, let's do coffee consumption. And we had farming. And so here, farming is a great example to see all of this. I have farming or agriculture or farmers or practices and climate change, right? So I'm going to just do this one. So I have coffee consumption, and then I have farming or agriculture or farmers. I'm going to click on search. Let's roll these dice, see what happens. I have about 1,000 results. Okay, not bad. I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same process that we did in MinerQuest. I'm going to narrow it down to full text. I want peer reviewed. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing here, except this time I'm not going to do 10 years. I'm going to do 5. So let's see here. So we have 2019. So I went from having 1,000 results, so 1,100 results, to about 178. Not bad, right? Pretty good. Once I find one that I like, I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing. I'm just going to run through my pre-reading. I'm going to check my tags. I'm going to check my description or my abstract. And once I like it, I want to go ahead and do the exact same thing and save it to my RefWorks. So if you haven't created a RefWorks account, right now is the time because I'm going to walk you through it. I am going to go ahead and proceed from here. But if you aren't following step by step with me and you just want to go ahead and create your own RefWorks account, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that before I move on. So I'm going to go ahead and do ProQuest RefWorks. So if you're not following along, if you're not on Academic Search Complete, if you're not on MinerQuest and you don't see that little button, you can just Google ProQuest RefWorks. It's going to take you to the exact same place. And this is what you're going to see. And go ahead and click on login. Right? And so this is what you're going to see. Now, if you are following along, and if you're here, as you can see, there's no little nice and neat RefWorks button like there was on MinerQuest. So the way that you would get to your RefWorks is you would click on this export button. Okay, and then for scale, it's right here on the right-hand side. It's a little green paper with it's a white paper with a green arrow going that way. So I'm going to click export. I have all of these options, but the first one that's going to be selected for me is export to RefWorks. And I'm just going to click save. So again, it's going to take me to my login page, which was the other one that we saw. Log out. Okay, it's going to take me to my login page. And if you don't have an account, right now is your chance to set up your account. I'm going to scroll down to where it says use my create an account. Do not click use my institution. You want to create an account. Okay, so I'm going to click on create an account and I'm going to type in my email. Keep in mind, you have to have your UTEP email set up here. It has to be at miners.utep.edu. If you use a Gmail, a Hotmail, Yahoo, whatever, it's not going to work. It has to be tied with your university account. Once you send and type in your email, you click on check. It's going to send an email to your email account. Go ahead and walk through the steps and set up your account. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of time to do so. If you get stuck, type it in the chat and I'll help you. If you're in here and you need help, just raise your hand and I'll go to you. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. So we have already kind of gone through a good chunk of our session. This is really like the breaking point, right? So the very like content heavy and super specific information that we needed to go over was in the first half. And now we're going to be kind of transitioning into stuff that's a little bit easier and it's going to be a little bit less time consuming. So hopefully we do have some time at the end to address any and all questions that maybe you still have remaining. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and move us on and we're going to go ahead and enter phase 2. And phase 2 is looking at interlibrary loan and then setting up VPN and proxy. And then we are going to also look at how you can find thesis, dissertation that have already been written and are established. Okay, so let's get into it. If you haven't already done so, please go ahead and navigate back to the library homepage. So if you're following along, again, go ahead and log back to the library homepage. And if you closed it out, no worries. You can always just Google UTEP library. And it's going to be the very first one that pops up, UTEP library. I'm going to go ahead and click on that and get us going. So for this next part, we're going to talk about interlibrary loan. Is anyone familiar with interlibrary loan? Either online or in person?
Actually,
no? Kind of? Okay. So if you are familiar with it, that's great. If you're not, that's what we're here to kind of talk about and address. Interlibrary loan is just kind of exactly how it sounds. We're going to borrow resources from other libraries, either across Texas, across the country, or internationally. Okay, so if you look for something and you find that we don't have access to it here at the university library, either in a physical or electronic version, we will work with other libraries, both public, academic, special, to make sure that you can find that resource. Okay, and the way that you get there is we're going to go ahead and on the top left, under University Library, you're going to see the services button. Okay, so again, library homepage, I'm going to click on services. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on students. So services, and then scroll down to students. here is where you really get an overview of all of the policies and services pertaining to students and pertaining to you guys as pretty much our primary concern, right? So again, we're the reason why you guys are the reason why we're here. And so we want to make sure that you kind of know and understand all of the policies that pertain to you. For us, we're going to go ahead and click on interlibrary loan. Okay, so again, in case you're a little unsure, I'm going to run through that one more time. So university library homepage, I'm going to click on services and then students. And then once I get to services for students, I'm going to click on interlibrary loan. And it's going to scroll me down to where it says interlibrary loan. Now, I can click on policies and just kind of see the general policies for borrowing books from other institutions. The big policies are basically turn it in on time. If you don't turn it in on time, if you're habitual, like I'm just going to keep this forever and never turn it in, then ultimately the biggest consequence is that you can get banned from interlibrary loan. I've seen it happen. And it's a problem, right? So you want to make sure that you're looking at the due date. The due date that we have for interlibrary loan is going to be different than the due date that we have for you guys as borrowing from our collection here in the library. As graduate students, you can check out a book for 3 months, okay? 3 months. If you are using interlibrary loan, ILL, then the limitation or the length of loan period is going to be up to the lending library. This also has to account for travel time, okay? So let's say that you need a book and they only have it at NMSU. Okay, so they only have it at NMSU. That's not too far of a distance. So maybe you'll be able to check it out for a month. Maybe you'll have access to it for a month, right? Because it'll be like a small little ground shipping, right? But if you, let's say, need a book and they only have a copy in Germany, then maybe you're only going to be able to use it for like 2-3 weeks because they do have to account for it coming to you, the travel time of it coming to you, and the travel time of it going back. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to scroll down to where it says request for materials. So here, if you want to contact ILL, you can. Here's their phone number, their hours, and then their email. I'm just going to click on request for materials. And here. So if you've never used ILL, interlibrary loan, before, it's going to ask you to set up your account. Okay. I have created mine, so mine is already autofilled because otherwise I will forget my password. But for you guys, you want to make sure that you enter your username and password. It's the same as your at UTEP email. It's the same as your myutep.edu. So go ahead and enter your username and password. And then once you do so, click login to Iliad. And then I'll give us a little bit of time, just like 30 seconds. So are you at the library homepage? Okay, so go library homepage, and then you want to click on services. And then you want to click on students. Okay, and then interlibrary loan, and then request. Yes. If it is your first time using interlibrary loan, ILL, it's going to ask you to update your information. Okay, so I'm not going to go ahead and scroll down just so, you know, privacy for privacy's sake, but here you'll go ahead and enter your first name, your last name, your ID number, and then something to keep in mind. It's going to ask you for an address. Okay, this is important if you are a distance education student or if you're a part of UTEP Connect. And I'll explain why. That is simply because if you are a UTEP Connect student and you don't live in El Paso, let's say we had a student who lived in Ozuna, Texas, right? So that's like 300 miles to the east. She was trying to request an item through interlibrary loan, but she indicated that she lived here in El Paso. And so she never came to pick up her book. She was charged a fee, but she never got it. And it was because she needed to say, I need it to be sent to my home address. So if you are not here in El Paso, if you are in Las Cruces, if you are, I don't know, in Rome, Italy, if you are anywhere else in the world, you need to indicate that you want it sent to your home address. Keep in mind that if you do that, you will have to spend money shipping it back to us. Okay. Other than that, if you're here, if you're an home-based student, if you're living in El Paso, if this is your community, you can always say that I want it to be sent to the library. You walk in, show your ID, and they'll give you your book. Okay. Yes, I know you had. Is that letting you in? Okay, give me 1 second. If you're online, I'll be right back. Yeah, so don't do that at night. Yeah. Something to note is if you're using at minors.utep.edu, it may not work. So just make sure you're just using like the base of your username. So for example, me, JD Urban-Flores, that's it. Nothing else. No at, nothing. If you don't want it to be, if you want it to be sent to the library, you don't have to do that. You can just go ahead and click, like enter your address. It won't send it automatically, but it will be sent here. Let me go ahead and I'll show you what that looks like right now. Oh yes, thank you, Jesse. Here, let me freeze this so that you guys again don't see all my personal information, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So hold on. And then same for you guys, I'm just gonna turn this off real fast so I can kind of show you what that looks like. So when you go to enter your profile information, it'll ask you where you want it to be delivered. So if you want it to be sent to the university library, you will just click ILL office. The only difference is that if you are a distance ed student and you aren't physically here, then you would go ahead and like in the notes, you would go ahead and mark and say, I need it to be sent to my home because I'm a UTEP Connect student. Okay. Keep in mind, this is only for UTEP Connect. Okay. So if you are, on the verge of dissertation and maybe you're not from El Paso and you're planning on moving back to your home, they won't send it to you if you're not UTEP Connect. Okay, you have to be a part of UTEP Connect. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so hopefully you were able to do that. When you want to go ahead and start putting your request in, you would just go ahead and click on this new requests. And then once you do that, you get to see all the different types of requests that you can make, whether it's articles, books, book chapters, multimedia. We had a training with our ILL department where they were kind of giving us the rundown of kind of the craziest things that they've seen. They get like, oh my gosh, VHS tapes that they're requested and like 8-track requests, right? And so they can fulfill them if they know the library that has them. So even if you want like an 8-track, if you have an 8-track player, I don't even know what that looks like, full disclosure, right? Like you can also request that. So just keep in mind that really sky's the limit. You can get a graphic novel. If you're just looking for a book chapter, then you can go from there. I can click on history and I get to see all of the requests that I have made over time. Okay, so a lot of these are for faculty that I have worked with. I've helped them kind of get chapters, and this is just really to expedite the process. If you know that you're going to be needing a book for your research and maybe you're not entirely ready if you should buy it or request, or like you don't want to make that commitment yet, you can always request it, kind of get like a trial run and then see if you like it before you go out and purchase it. The same can be done for items if you're kind of waiting for materials to come in from the bookstore, from Amazon. You can request them in here. Keep in mind that the beginning of the semester is the busiest time for ILL. And so the request time may take a little bit longer. Generally, it'll take about a week for it to get in. If it's an electronic item, so for example, if it's a PDF, then it'll be, maybe I've seen it be as fast as like within the hour, or as slow as like 3 days, right? So if it's a PDF of an article, it might be a little bit faster. Okay, any questions on that? No? Okay, so if you do have any questions later on, you're welcome to let me know. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and transition to talking about the VPN and kind of our proxy server. So again, if you are off campus, oh yes, Jesse, go ahead.
Sorry, this may be a silly question, but if you requested a PDF through interlibrary loan and then received it, is there any time limit for access they would give you, or is it like once you have the PDF, you have it?
So for a PDF, and I can go ahead and kind of show you. So most of these have been PDFs for me. So if you're requesting a PDF, your time limit might be like a week. You have a week to view it, to get access to it. Otherwise, as you can see, like I no longer have access to view my PDF, right? So once this came in, once I got notice that it was in, I went to my account, downloaded it right away, because you will lose access to it. And that's important because it doesn't live here. Once you download it, it's gone. So you want to make sure that you're saving it and that you're kind of taking care of that. Does that address your question, Jesse?
It sure does. That was great. So it's only accessible for a certain amount of time, but you are allowed to download it and save a personal copy.
Yes, exactly.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, so great question. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to VPN. So if you don't know what a VPN stands for, it stands for Virtual Private Network. And the easiest way that I explain this is it makes your computer think that you're here on campus, right? You can be 500 miles away, but if you are connected to the VPN, then your computer is going to, again, think that you're using the network here at the university. And the way that you get there is I'm just going to go ahead and Google UTEP VPN. And once you Google that, you're going to see kind of a few options. The very first one is VPN Global Protect, and then how to connect to the VPN. So the biggest reason why you want to use the VPN, and Jesse, I think you are here in the middle of the pandemic, right? Like you worked, yeah. So did you have to use the VPN a lot?
I only had to use the VPN for connecting to very specific software or that we use for like student conduct and things like that.
Okay, so you know, and that might be the case, right? Like if we're working from home, we don't ever work from home anymore. It doesn't exist for us here in the library. But if we did, we would have to connect to the VPN just to make sure that everything that we are sharing and have access to is kind of up and running as if we were here on campus. So the VPN, again, it's going to allow you to remotely connect to our system. This is great because when you're trying to access resources from the library, you are going to constantly be met with that single sign-on, okay? And so I can show you, in case you're not familiar with the single sign-on, or in case you're still kind of uncertain about it. The single sign-on is what you see when you're here. When you go to myutep.edu and you're asked for the single sign-on, okay? So this is my single sign-on. If I am at home and I'm trying to access library resources, maybe every 30 minutes, the single sign-on is going to come back. Are you still there? Are you still using our stuff? Please sign in. right? So it gets kind of annoying, a little cumbersome, but if you're connected to the VPN, it doesn't make you do that, right? Because it's just like as if you're here. So if you need help with setting up the VPN, the best people to help you with that is going to be tech support. They do have instructions here on how you can configure. And first of all, download Duo because you definitely need that for like the multi-step purpose. And then it's going to give you PDF versions of getting the VPN on a Mac, on a Windows device, on your phone, what have you. So again, this is just going to be to kind of sidestep having to constantly sign in. If you're comfortable with that, then that's not a problem. We used to heavily suggest the VPN when our systems weren't necessarily very reliable, right? But we have taken steps to ensure that everything that we do provide access to is far more reliable now. And so that's just kind of important to kind of know and to consider. So VPN is really important if you don't like signing in, or again, if you want to make your computer think that you're here on campus. But other than that, if you don't mind the single sign-on, then you shouldn't have a problem accessing everything. Okay. Just know that if you're used to doing work here on campus and you're like, why does it keep asking me to sign in? That's just kind of like that protection that is in place. Okay. So any questions on VPN and anything like that? I know this one was really quick, so that was just kind of like a short introduction. If there are no questions, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the second to final step. So I'm going to head on back to the library homepage. So again, utep.edu/library. And I am going to show you guys how you can find other people's thesis, dissertation, and you can kind of see what's out there and what the research is already being produced and coming from the university. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and click on databases. So again, library homepage, and I'm going to click on databases. So if you're here in person and you have an agenda, there's two options, but for those of you that aren't here, I'm going to go ahead and explain the two options. There's two places where you can find them. The first of which is ScholarWorks, and ScholarWorks is going to have everything from every UTEP graduate student that has produced a thesis or dissertation on our server, okay? And this is again called ScholarWorks. The second one is ProQuest, and that one is going to give you access to people's thesis and dissertation from across the globe. Okay, so one is very local, and then the other one is far more big and broad. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to type in, let's see here. I'm going to go database types, and I'm going to click on dissertations. So again, if you're here and you are at our 545 databases, you want to click on all database types and click dissertations. So the first of which is the ProQuest dissertations. I'm going to click on that one. And here I get to search, really, if I know the name of an author, I can search for them. If I know the name of their dissertation, I can go ahead and search for it here. But this really helps me to see kind of what's out there and what really works. We get a lot of requests, especially right before graduation, if we can help people find like their chair's dissertation so they know kind of what they like and what they're expecting, right? Or even papers that their chair has helped kind of guide. That way they know how to format and what to kind of be on the lookout for and how to make sure that everything is all good, right? So that's something to keep in mind. And then also it gives you an opportunity to kind of just see what's out there, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to type in, I'm going to stick to what I know. I'm going to do libraries. So I'm searching for libraries and I want to see what's out there. I want to see what people's dissertations and thesis have looked like based on libraries. Again, you can go ahead and you can filter to your heart's desire the very same way. You can only look for full text if you want to. You can change your date range, very similar to how we did it earlier. You can also check by institutions. If you only wanted to look for dissertations at the University of Southern California, you're welcome to do so, right? So again, this one's going to search globally and nationally. Okay. So let's see here. I like this one. I think it works for me. I can go ahead and read it. And then I see that it was published relatively recently, excuse me. So 2023, last year, I can read it. I have access to it. I think this is really cool, especially if you think about how interconnected graduate school is, right? And how even though maybe you feel a little alone and isolated, you get to read people's work from all over the world. And I think that's pretty awesome. So that's something for you to kind of keep in mind and play around with. The next one that I'm going to show you is ScholarWorks. And ScholarWorks, again, is going to be everything we have kind of in-house, if you will. So I'm going to go back to our A to Z database list. And I'm going to clear my filter. So there's a few ways that you can get here. You can click on the letter S and look for ScholarWorks, or you can just type it in. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to type in ScholarWorks. And this first one, the only one, is from us. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And if I went too fast, please let me know. So here, I think ScholarWorks is really a wonderful entity, and there's a lot that you can find here. If you're looking for just kind of general resources, or if you want to see what the university holds in-house, ScholarWorks is your place to do that. So if you're looking for like faculty publications, you want to see, has your faculty published anything that we already have access to, you can click on that. If you're looking for photography, if you're looking for UTEP history resources, you can find all of that here. Now, for us, if we're looking for open dissertations, full text, 2008 to present, that's what you would click on. If you're looking for something older, so let's say it says 1942 to 2007, if you're looking for maybe a dissertation from like the 70s, it's only going to give you an abstract, right? We would have it here at the library on media and microfilm, but it won't be the full version, right? It won't be the full version online, excuse me. The full text is going to be everything that we have access to that's almost relatively recent. So here is our, which I think is really cool. It's a map that shows you kind of the impact of students' work all across the globe. So here you get to see the name of a particular dissertation or thesis, and they tell you where people are reading it all around the world. So this one is read in Idaho, in Nigeria, in New Hampshire, in Oklahoma, right? So it really shows you the impact of UTEP students' graduate level work. And I think that's really awesome. It's going to show you how many downloads have been done in the past day. So this one has had 10 out of 501 in the past day, right? That's really cool. And so I think this is just kind of a fun tool to just watch. And my colleagues and I would just sometimes like stare at it and we're like, wow, that who knew, right? Like who knew that was a thing? So yeah, that's something that I think is really nice. We also will highlight one dissertation. And it'll usually pop up like when you click around and you play around, but it'll show you like this is like the today's thesis or dissertation. So again, that's really fun. I'm going to search and I'm just going to show you kind of what it looks like. So let's see. Do I have it? No. I'm going to search for my husband. So I typed in his name. Let's see if it pops up. Here we are. Okay, so Right here, Mi Feria Su Feria, how Mexican Americans created the 1968 San Antonio Hemisphere. So this is his dissertation, and I was able to just kind of search for it. I had to look a little bit for it, but it's already all there for me. So since June of 2023, it's had almost 1,000, since June of 2020, it's had almost 1,000 downloads. I think that's really impressive, right? He'll probably won't think that's impressive at all, but I think that's really cool. And it gives you kind of all the information, again, the metadata behind his work. So the degree name, Doctor of Philosophy, Department of History, his advisor, an abstract, and then just kind of going on to like language and the application format. So this is something that I think is pretty awesome for you to just kind of play around and kind of go through. You can also browse by subjects. You can browse by authors. If you know the name of the advisor, you can also browse by the advisor's name. There's a variety of different ways of looking for and searching for this information. Okay. And then again, I mentioned a little while ago that you can find tags in Academic Search Complete and MinerQuest. There's also different tags here, right? So I have Chicano studies, history, political science, all those different things. I can kind of go in and figure out what is this being tagged? Who's looking at this? Who's using it? Okay. Any questions on how to access and look at other theses and dissertations? Okay, very nice. Oh, for sure. Okay, so I went from A to Z databases, and then in the search, I just typed in ScholarWorks. Yes. So I just typed in ScholarWorks. And then it should be the first one that pops up. Yes. And then from here, because you're going to find a lot of different resources, you just want to click on Open Access Full Text. So in the search bar, type in ScholarWorks. And then just click on the big blue link. So do you see this like right up here? Yeah. And then so you can go ahead and click on that, and then you'll just add or just click on the Open Access Full Text. And then you can search away. You can just kind of browse even, see what's there, see what comes up, maybe see what's related to your work, and just kind of go from there. Yeah. Okay, so we're coming up on about 10 minutes, and I do want to kind of make sure that I'm addressing any questions that have come up, or maybe I've kind of gone through fast, so I can run through them again. So I'm just going to do just a few quick reminders, and then we'll go ahead and open up to Q&A. So just really quickly, if you have any questions, make sure you reach out to your librarian. If you don't know how to find us or how to get a hold of us, you can always chat with us and be like, hey, I attended a graduate session, but I don't know who my librarian is. Can you help me? I will be more than happy to help you. If you want to look on your own, you can always click under people, subject specialists, find us all, and go from there. If you want to go directly to me and then be like, hey, Jenny, can you help me out and just kind of pinpoint me in the right direction? I'm all the way down towards the bottom. You can go ahead and find me here, all my subjects, send me an email, call me, schedule an appointment with me, and then I can help you from there. Let's see here. You can always schedule a consultation with us if you need help with your research. If you're unsure, you can always contact us. Librarians aren't scary, I promise. I mean, like sometimes I can be scary, but like that's only on Halloween. And I, for the most part, really just want to make sure that you guys are succeeding and you're doing well. So if you do need help with anything throughout the course of your graduate experience, we're here to help you. Our biggest thing is we may not know everything, but we'll find out. Right? We're information seeking professionals. Like it's our job to know things. So if you do need help, if you need any advice or guidance on where to go for this or for that, just come talk to us and we can make sure you are going in the right direction. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to questions. If you have any, you're welcome to type them in the chat or raise your hand in person. And if you are able to, and either if you're here in person or if you're online, if you wouldn't mind taking some time to give me some feedback. I'm always looking for ways to grow and improve my sessions. And so if you wouldn't mind just taking, I don't know, maybe like 5 minutes to give me a little bit of feedback, I'd appreciate that. But other than that, thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming and for being a great audience, and good luck this semester. And if you need anything, I'm here to help you. And again, if you have questions, just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And
Okay, but we know that there's individual librarians talking with administration.
yes, and you know, I think that's something that we sell a lot to our undergraduate students. And I think our grad students forget that, right? I always tell our undergrads, especially in the fall semester, you have your own personalized custom librarian, right? And some students don't realize that, but when you say personalized and custom, people like that. And it's true, like we all have our own specialties and we all try to like help in different ways. So yeah, like if you do need help, reach out to your librarian. Okay, if you have a question, if you want to unmute yourself, go for it.
Yeah, good afternoon. Actually, I was in Scholar Works, and I tried searching for something on Modernismo, and it looked like I had something like this. I just sent it on chat on that link, and what happened was I had options, okay, but I didn't know exactly where to go, whether I should go to open access thesis and dissertation or just download to get that information. Oh, okay, I think just download, right?
So if you want the dissertation, you can click download. But if you just kind of want a brief abstract, or if you just want to know a little bit more about it before you download it, you can just go ahead and click on it, read it, and then kind of make your decision from there.
No, if I want something brief about it, I still go to the same download, right?
If you want something brief,
Yeah.
my suggestion would be don't click download right away. Click on the title.
Oh, okay.
And then once you click on the title, this information will pop up. Just scroll down to where you see abstract and then just read your abstract first.
Oh, okay, the abstract.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank
Does
you
that
very
help?
much. Yeah, it does. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else? Any other questions or anything I can address? Something I went over too fast?
I think I was a little late, so I didn't really get the beginning, but I guess up to where I came to meet, I'm okay.
Okay. And then I think Jesse will be sharing out the link or the recording.
All right.
Yes, we did catch the recording, and then we'll process that. And by, I would say, about end of next week, we should have that posted to our website. And I'll probably share it out with the group as well as a recording, just a link to it. So you'll have anything you missed, you can catch up on.
Awesome. Thank you, Jesse. Yeah,
Right.
so that'll be there for you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Questions?
So the last one, the scholar works are only for dissertations, or you can have articles and stuff.
So ScholarWorks is gonna house a lot of different things.
Oh, okay.
For example, like here's OER textbooks, right? Here's UTEP history resources and photographs. If you want to search kind of like our full catalog, and I saw that you're looking for modernism, right? So if you wanted to search and see what we had on modernism, then for that, you would just go over to Minor Quest. And you can just type that in there, search for modernism, see what comes up, and then really like kind of go through your resources. The thesis and dissertation is just that. It's only going to search for a thesis and dissertation, not necessarily a book or an article.
Okay. All right. If I have questions, I know where to get you. Don't worry.
Yes, if you do have questions, you can send me an email. It's not a problem. I'm more than happy to help.
All right. Thank you very much.
And what about you guys in here? Are we good to go? Do you have any questions? Oh, good, good. I'm so glad.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good. I'm glad, and I hope that this is helpful for you guys. And if you do need any help, don't hesitate to contact me or someone else. And even if you're kind of like unsure where to go, just let me know and I can kind of help point you in the right direction. Okay.